It's better to see them see. It's better content, right? Someone could literally hand me $1 million right now. I didn't say this to them, but this is what it's going through my mind. Someone could hand me $1 million right now on stream, and I would still say I have to go because my wife is more important. Everyone's gonna want to see me react to this documentary. Everyone. It's a lot. Let me put it this way: it's a lot of pressure. Okay, and usually it's pressure's not a big deal for me, but in this case, it's going to be.
So today we're going to be looking at the day after the casino collab. After at least a week of hype, all the glazing, all the misplaced confidence, the event happened, and this is the feel that we get the following day.
I was like, dude, it feels different and it's changing a thing for the better. This is the feeling that I used to get, back when I was a bigger YouTuber and everything that I did, no one cared what it was, they liked it. I could play a game no one ever heard of and no one cared about, people loved it anyway. Because they were watching it for me and my commentary as well as the game. They liked me that much. You know what I'm saying?
If this weren't DSP, this would just be remarkably sad. Here you have a 42-year-old man lamenting on his past, remembering when he was relevant and popular. As strange as that is to remember, there was in fact a time where he was a popular content creator. But now, here he sits, talking about how he's got that old feeling back, he got his groove back, so to speak, and all of it stems from one incredibly cringe collab stream where he sat timid and meager 75% of the time, and the other 25% of the time were hypocritical, nonsensical talking points that led to nothing more than secondhand embarrassment for the audience. To be fair to DSP, the stream happened. He made a bunch of money and didn't get torn apart upon first contact with the outside world. This, in the book of DSP at least, can be chalked up as a rare win for the guy, and it's all thanks to the fellas over at the casino. I do have to thank God that they actually know how to perform and move a stream along though, because regardless of how you feel about their style and their humor, DSP was never going to be up to that challenge. He was never going to be able to make the stream move how it needed to. Hell, as it stands right now, he was very clearly the least entertaining and least energetic of the three.
And this is just crazy because, again, not necessarily that the Kino Casino guys are in love with me or anything. They're not, all right? I think that they know that I've made mistakes and I have made, have made issues. No one's perfect, right? But I think, number one, compared to the other people they cover, they realize that I'm like the guy at the very, very, very bottom of the fuck up totem pole, that there's so many people above me that have done so many awful things yet persist on the internet, yet people don't act like that. They act like I'm the worst, right? And they don't get that. So now, by acting the opposite and basically treating me nicely and showing me and my content to a wider audience, they've realized that it's flipped everything on its head. And now the narrative's changing. But it helps everyone. It helps them to make good content. It helps me to make better content. Obviously, everyone's getting a positivity and support. So who's the real loser here in this situation? There's only one: my detractors.
Are the detractors losing? As much as this arc isn't my personal favorite, it is very interesting in the grand scheme, and there are many new characters that have entered into the Snortags. It's not too often things like that happen, especially recently, so if anything, the detractors are eating better now than they have been for a while. Now when it comes to DSP being better than other degenerate lolcows on the internet, my only answer is yeah, obviously. As greasy and sleazy as DSP is, he's not a violent criminal, someone with freakish kinks, or any other garbage like that. He's just a scamming sleazeball who has the worst performance etiquette I've ever seen. Of course, I'm leaving out some of his more prominent traits for brevity's sake, but you get the point. You don't have to be the worst to still be worth following and laughing at though, and that seems to be the part he doesn't seem to understand. He could be the least degenerate lolcow and still get clowned. It makes no difference. Maybe one day he'll get it, but today isn't that day apparently.
They're the only losers in this situation because they don't have a narrative anymore. What's happening is people realize the narrative was always false. It was things that they just over-exaggerated for their own personal gain. And now what's happening is people are realizing it's more fun to make the haters seethe than to f with me and my business. You see? It's more fun to see a group of basement dwellers who have absolutely no lives actually freak out that everything they did for 10 years has been meaningless because it's all being erased right now, versus seeing me get angry because I lost another opportunity, I lost more money, someone hit me with bullshit takedowns and copyright strikes and shit like that. It's better to see them see. It's better content, right?
I personally cannot stand him constantly saying seethed. It's just odd coming from him, and only made worse by the fact that I know that it only entered his vocabulary recently when he was introduced to the casino and their fans. I have to ask though, regarding the seething, where are these detractors that he's talking about? Could he name names? And I don't ask that in any way other than genuinely, because I just haven't seen it. The only reactions I've seen are people enjoying the clown show for what it is, or people saying that it's cringe and unwatchable. No one, from what I've seen at least, is out here upset about the fact that DSP is being milked for more content by different trolls. Speaking of trolls, I can't help but think about how ironic it is when DSP talks about his detractors as basement-dwelling losers, when he is confirmed to be the one trapped in his fire hazard of an office for hours on end, begging for $50 so that he can pull those oh so lucrative Hogans, and refuse to leave his house more than once a week.
So, this is cool. All right. And I'm happy. And I just want to let you guys know, yeah, I'm feeling good right now. I mean, everything has been going so well. Just take a look at the last couple of weeks, right? Gaming PC, new camera, both donated, massively improving my streams and setups. Now, collabing with the Kino Casino, appearing on their show, having them be on my show, making great content together. Everyone's succeeding. I mean, this is amazing, right? This is all amazing. And the only thing right now that's putting a damper. The only thing that's dampening, no, the only thing that's bringing this down, there's a word, I can't think of the word because I'm stupid. There's something that's nagging me in the back of my head, and I think you guys know what it is. It's the upcoming June the King documentary on me, because it's 4 hours long.
And this is when the high highs start to become the low lows, because even after all of the positivity and newfound love from the casino, he can't help but think about the future. It's a curse placed upon every man to comprehend the passage of time and be able to understand that the future exists, and DSP is no exception to this rule, and unfortunately for him, as he's learned through his life, inevitably his actions will catch up to him, and he will have to face the repercussions of his own behaviors. It was all sunshine and rainbows when it was Rich's head on the June-style chopping block, but now that he's next up, he can't help but wish that he wasn't. And while Rich's time was short, only clocking in about an hour, Phil has a multi-hour dissection coming for all to see.
This thing's going to be insane. This thing's going to be so in-depth that you know it's going to cover every little thing that I've done over the years, you know? 4 hours, can you imagine how much is going to be squeezed into that react? And the funny part is, people are already saying, Phil, are you going to do a co-op commentary on your own React with Kino Casino? It's literally not even feasible. It's 4 hours long. For me to just comment on it, you know, like, take a look. 1.5 Rich documentary. It took us over 4 hours to get through it. 4 hour documentary, no exaggeration. That's probably going to be like a 10-hour React, if not longer.
As much as I look forward to seeing him try and justify his own actions and make excuses for his entire past, I don't know if I'm quite ready for possibly 10 hours of it. Honestly though, he has no business dragging it out that much. Any content creator worth their salt would be capable of making their points not only coherent, but comprehensible while still moving at a reasonable pace, turning a 4-hour documentary into a 6 or 7 hour react. DSP is not that though. He's not worth his salt. He is incapable of matter-of-factly getting to his point without a ridiculous amount of tangents and side stories along the way. That's one of the many things that makes his content so monotonous. Every story or segment is 3 times as long as it has any business being because he just talks himself in circles time after time. And it appears as if he's planning to make that the case for the June doc. How exciting.
So just so you guys know, because many of you I know, again, are new, you've only just started coming by in the past couple of weeks, the way that I'm planning to tackle my own documentary is I can't sacrifice all of my normal content for the React. I know a lot of people want me to. They're like, dude, clear your schedule. When your documentary comes out, just react to it for 3 days straight. You got to understand something. I'm here because of my core audience, the people who have supported me day in, day out for 16 years. They want to see me play all the new hot releases coming out. And it starts in just a week. In 1 week is Black Myth Wukong. Right after that, there's Star Wars Outlaws. There's the upcoming Black Ops 6 beta. And the cool thing about the beta is I have a gaming PC to play it on now. at 120 hertz, and people want to see me play it and see how it performs, but see how I do now. This is all stuff my audience has been hotly anticipating. Okay? I can't just drop everything and clear my schedule to react to the Judah King documentary in full.
He doesn't have to drop everything though. The video will be 4 hours. If he just cleared a day's worth of streams for this, he should, in concept at least, have more than enough time to watch and react to the entire thing. If that wasn't the case though, could he not just make this a marathon style event and actually give it some sort of hype? This seems like the type of event that he should be hyping up, the type of event that people might actually be interested in watching. He's been talking about it consistently for months, so why doesn't he just give it the attention that it deserves and make it a marathon style and bang it out? Why spread out this video over multiple days? I mean, people were blessed with the ability to recall memories, but stopping a movie halfway through to finish it 3 days later is just odd. And I don't think that this situation is really any different. I just can't wait to hear how viewership is dropping off on the subsequent sessions, because anybody who was really interested and enthralled by the story continues to watch the doc after DSP got off stream. It's like this guy chooses to be his own worst enemy every single day.
So here's how I'm going to attack it, all right? Day streams, meaning this stream right now will be a podcast and gameplay. So let's say Black Myth Wukong comes out, but then a day into it, my documentary drops, okay? So it's going to be podcast, gameplay on the first stream, break, my night stream will be exclusively reacting to this documentary, okay? So that way we're splitting it half and half, and I'm not really neglecting stuff, okay? And so that's how I'm going to attack it. But here's the thing, that I can't do that with those guys. I can't, my night streams are 2-3 hours tops. I can't go super late.
So not only is it going to be stretched out over multiple days, but it's also going to be relegated entirely to the night streams, the streams notorious for having less viewership. None of this plan makes any sense. He is in one of the least convenient time zones for the entire world, and his grand idea is to make all of the streams at the worst time. It's like he doesn't want people to care about this documentary or see it at all. On one hand, the less people that see it, the better. Obviously, that's pretty easy to understand, but if they were going to see it, if people were interested in watching it, and they definitely are, you'd think that he would at least want it to be viewed through his stream, where he can attempt to pignatize as many people as possible. And you would think that given DSP's recent interest in moving away from gameplay and more into his talking and reacting, that this would be the perfect time to fully demonstrate how that could look. Yet, right now, when it would be legitimately appropriate to do so, he isn't actually committing to it and instead trying to do a balancing act for those few dents out there who actually enjoy the gameplay, a rarer breed by the day. Everything is just so bass-ackwards with the guy. I've always left wondering how he makes the decisions that he does.
My wife has work. I want to spend time with her every night. And this is something, I will say this. Out of the entire night last night, okay, the only time that I felt uncomfortable or pressured is because those guys were absolutely adamant that we finished reacting to the Review Tech documentary in that setting. And they're even saying, they're pressuring me, like, dude, you spent a lot of money, you should stick around. And I'm like, guys, you got to understand something. Someone could literally hand me $1 million fucking dollars right now. I didn't say this to them, but this is what it's going through my mind. Someone could hand me $1 million right now on stream, and I would still say I have to go because my wife is more important. You understand? She is. Money is just fleeting. Having a relationship with someone you truly love is more important to me. Okay? So I had to get out of here. I couldn't stay late. All right, I already laid down that, right?
I'm sure she knows, but if she doesn't, I hope after hearing this, Kat realizes that she married an absolute idiot. I don't care who you are or what your situation is. If there was actually $1 million on the table and you chose 45 extra minutes laying in bed with your wife over that, you're a complete imbecile. I know that he's being hyperbolic, exaggerating, if you will, but he very specifically chose $1 million to emphasize how serious and how big of a deal this was, and for that he should be mocked. And any wife who lives in reality would absolutely be floored if they found out that their husband had turned down $1 million just to lay in bed and pull Hogan's while they tried to sleep. He thinks that this is endearing and a display of what a good husband he is, but all it really illustrates is that his priorities are all screwed up and he can't understand that while some choices are better in the short term, that others could work out better in the long term. Imagine how many days off they could have spent together after $1 million. She could have quit her job and never worked again with that kind of safety net. That's of course assuming an alcoholic gambling addict wasn't in charge of the finances, of course.
So with this documentary coming up, what I'm planning to do is split it up into basically doing like 2-hour chunks. So I'll do gameplay, 2-hour react chunk to the first part of my documentary. Next day, gameplay, and then another 2-hour react chunk to the next part of my documentary. So you see what I'm saying? So I'm doing it like that. There's no way the guys from Kino Casino are going to want to be every night. All they're doing is reacting to my documentary. And let's be honest, it's give or take as well. I showed up on their show, so they showed up on mine, right? So we, it's kind of like boop, ba-doop, you go back and forth, you help each other out. It's not going to be, oh, now they're going to be on my streams every night for a week and not make content for themselves. That's insane. Who would even ask that? What kind of a selfish, dumbass thing would that be to ask someone, hey, could you just cancel all your work this week and make no money so you can be on my streams to give me money? Kind of unreasonable, don't you think?
This is exactly what I was talking about earlier, the longest way to convey the simplest concept. Just say you wouldn't bother burdening them with that many collabs back to back to back to back to back, like Drake. He just talks about everything in the most convoluted, roundabout way to pad out these streams and postpone the gameplay as much as possible. This is also yet another example of him jumping the gun when it comes to these collabs, something that I've talked about already rather recently, so I'll let it go, but I did want to point it out.
So yeah, so that's coming, and that's the truth. The one thing that's dampening, I keep saying dampening, that's not the word. Bringing me down. What's the word for if you're getting brought down? Like it's kind of like putting the kibosh on the fun. I can't think of what the word is. I don't know. I'm sure someone's gonna say it in the chat, and I'm gonna feel stupid because I can't think of it. But the only thing that's bringing me down right now is this impending documentary. Yeah, I guess looming. That's a good word for it. It's a looming documentary. Because I know for a fact when this comes out, there's shit that I've done over the years that, number one, no one's really talked about in a documentary. My Street Fighter years and shit, nobody knows about that. And they're going to see that and they're going to be like, wow, he was an asshole. Now, I think a lot of people will just laugh about it. But the thing is, you're dredging up stuff that literally is so outdated, has nothing to do with who I am. And that was pre-YouTube. That was a life ago, right? And I've already apologized out my ass about it, saying I really regret how I acted back then.
You most definitely have not apologized out the ass for any of that, though. In fact, you did nothing but make up excuses and obfuscate the truth as often as you could. To this day, he talks bad about almost every single person involved in the early FGC, especially the Cannon brothers. Two guys who were wildly successful and almost single-handedly responsible for the competitive fighting game scene being as large as it is today. It's also incredibly rude to say that no one has covered those super early days. Meanwhile, the Dead Sea Scrolls exists and has breathed a new life into the long-forgotten lore that was the old FGC days. Could you just put some respect on ALT's name? Because I couldn't imagine anyone else taking the time to not only curate those posts, but also read them out in an entertaining and coherent fashion. It's probably thanks to him alone that June was even able to gather any of that information up to begin with. And he tries to downplay these years of his life as well by referring to them as a life ago. Not only does that not make any sense, because who the hell is only living for 20 years or so, but it also doesn't excuse any of the things that he said or did back then.
The other part of it is going to be dredging up things about my ex, which again, that's another past part of my life that I don't even talk about her for a good reason, because I'm past that. I'm happily married, and having to bring up stuff about my ex and stuff. And it's going to be a big part of the documentary, because when I was with my ex, that was a lot of reasons why a lot of people started to hate on me. They said that I changed, and instead I was making content with her, and my content was changing. They didn't like that. They didn't like her and her personality, right? It was a big thing. And I know that that's going to be something that we have to now drag through the mud again. I don't want to drag that through the mud again, but we have to. We have to go there, right? That's part of my history.
You don't have to do anything, because you don't have to watch the doc at all. If he didn't want to talk about Panda Lee, he could do the same thing during that segment that he plans on doing during the WWE Champions segment. And by that, I mean just skip it after giving his lies and retcons. It really is simple as. Don't forget though that Panda being a part of the content was entirely his idea. He was the one who wanted to make her a part of the videos. He was the one who repeatedly brought her into the content despite his own audience expressly telling him that they did not enjoy the addition of her, and that the way he behaved around her was also unappreciated. So really, it just serves him right having to address the entire situation now that he created. Reap and sow.
And like I said, the last several years with this stupid financial shit and bankruptcy shit and mobile game shit, I'm so exhausted with it already. I'm completely exhausted. Because here's the thing. You want to talk about my Street Fighter days? No one's really talked about it yet. For me, that'll actually be kind of refreshing to talk about something new from my past and try to give my perspective and clear the air about certain things. That's new content to cover, right? But to have to go through the dirty laundry of my ex and talk about this shit about finances and shit I've already talked about a million times, right? It's going to be incredibly stressful. It's going to be draining. I'm going to feel like a fighter who's already gone 10 rounds. And now they said, oh, by the way, time for another 10 fucking bonus rounds. Even though you got through it, the fight continues. Like, when does the fight end, right? When does my time to stop having to respond to this fucking toxic shit about me end? When can I just enjoy my life?
The day that you log off permanently, and I don't mean dying, I mean literally logging off the internet indefinitely. That will be the day that he no longer has to answer for his actions and past behaviors. 16 years of content creation, 16 years of content with endless examples of him being insufferable by every metric. If carrying that burden is really that taxing, if it is really that much weight on your shoulders, go ahead and clock out, boss. Because at no point should anyone let him forget just how awful he's been on the internet. Notice though that right now, before the doc has even come out, he's already prepared and even looking forward to setting the record straight and clearing the air on certain things revolving around his early Street Fighter days. If no one has talked about this before, according to him, how the hell would he know there are things to debunk and clarify? It's as if he's already concocting whatever narrative he wants to spin to excuse his actions, and that's just despicable.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like, why do I have to constantly keep responding to the toxicity, negativity, and the dumb shit people say about me? Why can't I just say, hey, let's talk about today and the future? Because it's all that shit's in the past. I'm not, all that stuff. Just forget it all. You know what I'm saying? But no, we've got to do it again. We're doing it again. We're going through it again. And everyone's going to want to see me react to this documentary. Everyone. It's like the biggest thing right now is that because I just did the rich one. Now everyone wants to see me react to my own. It's a lot. Let me put it this way. It's a lot of pressure. Okay. And usually pressure's not a big deal for me. But in this case, it's going to be. I'm tired of being beat up. I really am. Like, I'm getting too old for it now. Where I just, I don't care about it. So that's why I don't talk about it. But now I have to talk about it again. Again. The millionth fucking time. I had enough of it. But I'm going to do it. Or I'm going to man up and I'm going to do it. But I know it's just going to be so stressful. Plus, I'm going to be playing new challenging video games in the first stream. And then I have to come get beat up on my late stream every day.
Oh no, you guys, he has to play brand new video games on his first stream and then lie on his late stream? Truly a horrid life that no one could make it through. Thank God we have DSP to carry this burden for us. I'm not at all surprised to hear him longing for the day that everyone forgets about his past and only talks about the future and present though. Zero accountability and zero responsibility are what DSP yearns for the most. And I'll say it outright, I am glad to see him this down and miserable about his own upcoming documentary. After the hypocritical event that was the Kino collab, this is exactly what he deserves, nothing less.
And yes, can I be honest? I'm afraid. Why am I afraid? Because I now have a group of people who have newfound interest and respect for me. But what's to say? I've learned over the years that kind of stuff is very fleeting. All right? At a moment's notice, something can happen and boom. Now the popular thing is to crap on you, right? And so I look at this as a situation where now things are going well, but in just a couple of weeks when my own documentary comes out, it could completely flip on its head again. People see this documentary and there's something in it that really irks them the wrong way, and it's 4 hours, so it's going to be hard for you to not find something in the documentary that you hate about me because it's 4 hours long. It's literally going to cover everything bad about me and my history. So there's going to be shit in there that pisses everybody off. I can't believe he did that. I never knew he did that. I'm out here. I can't watch him anymore. I'm so disgusted with this man, right? But it doesn't mean that that's representative of who I am, now. But that doesn't mean anyone will care. But on the internet, everything's absolute. Everything's black and white. If you were bad once, you're bad now, right? So, it's just very frustrating because I'm having such a good time now, but I can't fully enjoy it. I'm being honest with you guys right now. I'm trying to be really open with you. I can't really fully enjoy this right now because I have this eating feeling. What's eating Gilbert Grape, right? What's eating Adam? I have a feeling that the end of this month, this documentary is going to come out, and a lot of the people who are like, oh, this is great, are going to be like, wow, that guy actually was a piece of shit. Now it's fun to shit on Phil again. This was the ultimate redemption story, but it's even better now because the redemption story is canceled because his documentary is so bad. Fuck that guy. Let's shit on him again. And I don't want to deal with it.
If this is how he's really feeling, and I believe he is being honest here, I don't for a second doubt that he's paranoid and worried about this at all, but you would think that if this were the case, he would be handling himself with a bit more elegance, that he would be a bit more cautionary as a way to appeal to people after the documentary does actually come out. That way he would at least be able to remind people of all the meaningful and robust moments they've shared recently. That is not what he's doing though. As it stands now, he's more pig-headed and obnoxious than ever, constantly calling out detractors and dancing to the sounds of their imaginary suffering. He's just got no grace or tact when it comes to the optics. Not that this is new information, of course, he's never really been tactful in any situation, but this has been dialed up to 10 recently. So not only is he a sore loser, but he's also a sore winner, despite his own win being entirely imagined. Truly the worst of both worlds.
I don't, because I'll tell you right now, if that happens, all right, I'm done. I'm not going to be doing any kind of collabs or anything. And I'm not saying the Kino Casino guys are going to turn on me or anything. Who knows what's going to happen, right? But I'm done with it. I will shut myself off to the possibility of doing work with other people, and I'll just sit here and do my own content forever. Like a little hermit on a fucking island. I don't care because I've had enough of it. I really have had enough of this bullshit of everyone shitting on me. And I'm not going to even put up with it anymore. It's going to be a flat out, I don't want to hear about anyone else, about other people's content, nothing. I don't want to hear about what anyone said about me. I don't want to hear about this guy, that guy, nothing, right? Right now, it's good because everyone's saying good things about me. But it could change in 2 weeks. And if that's the case and we go back to the whole bullshit, and yeah, I know it's paranoia because people are saying in the chat, listen, not paranoia. Yes, that's actually exactly the description of it. A good description is paranoia, but it's very well justified paranoia. This has happened to me many times. You understand? And so, will this be time number 10 when I try to trust people, when I try to open up to do new things, and then all of a sudden it just blows up in my fucking face for the millionth time? Phil's a piece of shit. Everyone crap on him, crap on his business, crap on his family, crap on everything. I can't take it anymore. So that'll be it. If that's actually what happens as a result of this documentary, I'm done. I'm not quitting content. I'm just not going to be doing anything outside of just making content for me and my little core audience. That'll be it. Right now I'm enjoying branching out. I'm enjoying being on their show, having them on my show, I started clipping my content. I'm trying to be different, right? I'm not going to put up with it anymore. I can't. You reach your limit. Everyone has a limit, right? Everyone has a limit. And that's my limit. If this is it, if it turns into the DSP shit show number 4,722, that's going to be the last shit show. Because I'm not going to give anyone else any more content to fuck with. I'm just not going to bother. You understand? But that's how I'm feeling right now. Like, I really am enjoying the ride, but I'm worried that it's all going to change in 2 weeks. So I basically had 1 month to be happy with how things were going, and then it's right back to being the internet's whipping boy,
He just gave the casino a tremendous amount of power. The future of DSP, his content, and all future collabs going forward are entirely reliant on whether the casino pulls the trigger to end the buddy troll. All this talk of paranoia and justified caution, and he has placed all of his faith in Ashton and Andy. Beautiful. Simply splendid, actually. I just don't understand why he would not only acknowledge this, but also admit to it publicly. Bad decision after bad decision with no end in sight, especially now that Mutahar has entered the arc, something that I personally didn't see coming, but that will be for another video in another time, potentially. What's not potential, however, is the fact that there were comments from the 60 Skulls on the last video, and that's what we're going to be taking a look at now. So big ups to the 60 Skulls. Jarrett Mark says, I don't want anything to do with your negativity, you stupid detractors. If a negative video about me pops up in my feed, yeah, I'll watch it. And I think that that brilliantly demonstrates exactly the kind of person DSP is. He's the type of person to say one thing out of one side of his mouth and the complete opposite out of the other. Because as much as he claims to not care about his detractors or what they're doing, he's constantly talking about them more now than ever. And now that the King of Hate has returned, I don't think that this is going to change anytime soon. 713 says, bro is terrified of that June doc and is trying to pignatize as many people as he can. He's trying so hard to get in front of the story of his finances and garner sympathy with his fake ass depression story. What a sleazy manipulator. And he's been trying to do that for a couple of months now. He's actually got a very large lead on that. Like I said in the video though, it seems like he's trying to make his own react to it as unappealing as possible for some reason, despite that going against his best interests. You can't pignatize people that aren't going to show up to the stream, and I can't imagine that many people are going to continue to return back to the night stream multiple days in a row to see him continue. But what do I know? I'm just a dirty detractor, and I've been wrong before. And Chiba801 very quickly comes in with the, I can't wait for the Aftermath arc, big ups Atlas. Obviously big ups to you, but I think that that's what a lot of detractors need to keep in mind, because I see a lot of people out there, shout out a lot of people in the comment sections and whatnot, saying that DSP is incredibly obnoxious as of late and this arc is terrible. And while I am also not the biggest fan, as I've said before, there are things taking place in the Snortex that are rather interesting, and the aftermath of this is going to be something completely different, the likes of which we may have never seen. So while it might not be your favorite arc, and while it might be grating to tune in and keep up all of the time, I definitely recommend keeping up to some extent, because you do want to be filled in when it all finally comes crashing down, as DSP's life always does. With that, I want to thank everybody for watching the video, especially if you made it this far. Hopefully I'll catch all of you guys in the next video, but until then, make sure that you check out other detractor content and dive deeper into that. Snortex.
Wow, that guy actually was a piece of shit.